our lead story of the day, as always, is yesterday's White House press briefing where John Kirby and Karine Jean-Pierre are questioned on a variety of topics, all the way from China possibly invading Taiwan and why Joe Biden hasn't called Xi up. We also have Karine Jean-Pierre being questioned about why Joe Biden is not taking any questions from the press, at least unvetted questions, in a formal press conference. Wait till we get to that one. And we also have the White House quadrupling down on how Joe Biden and the Biden administration supports an assault weapons ban, which the Senate has passed, folks. We'll jump into that story. We got a lot of stuff packaged for you today. Support a true American patriot by hitting that like and subscribe button. Leave us a short, sweet comment down below. Folks, YouTube heavily wants you to integrate as well as interact with the channel here. So you leaving a comment down below does yeoman's work in supporting us and helping us get our videos out there to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel. Your help and support would be greatly appreciated. This first question goes to John Kirby from Fox News, questioning him on the idea of China possibly invading Taiwan, just Chinese relations with their foreign policy. Why hasn't Joe Biden called the guy up? Let's hear the response.
Moving to the tensions between China and Taiwan, we know the president can pick up the phone anytime and call President Xi. We've been told that this call is coming for months. Why hasn't he just picked up the phone and called President Xi to say, knock it off?
The president looks forward to having another conversation with President Xi. And we'll do that at the appropriate time, and we'll certainly keep you apprised of that. It's important that those lines of communication stay open. The tensions are certainly high right now. We'd like to see this relationship get onto a better footing. And when it's appropriate for the two leaders to talk, then that'll happen. I want to stress, that said, that we are and have been able to maintain lines of communication between our two countries, even throughout all these tensions. And in fact, we're still working to get Secretary Blinken back on a plane over to Beijing, as he was planning to do a couple of months ago. And we're in talks with the PRC about potential visits of Secretary Yellen and Secretary Raimondo, at their invitation, by the way, to talk about economic issues.
And while it's not popular, would the president ever speak directly to President Xi? I mean, would there be a conversation there, perhaps? What is his take on this meeting between House Speaker McCarthy and President Xi?
That's actually a really great question, because it's going to show just how much in the pocket Joe Biden is of the Chinese if he's willing to do basically something formal with the president of Taiwan, especially with the tensions now happening with China. And some might say, hey, you know what, right now is not a good idea to even be messing with the Chinese, trying to push them into something that we know that we shouldn't be pushing them into, by meaning invading Taiwan, especially what's going on with Russia invading Ukraine. Our military assets just aren't in the where or in the capabilities of which they should be. And what I mean by that is we're having massive issues with the recruitment. We literally had to lower the body weight of people that would be eligible for recruitment in our military. I mean, the numbers are abysmal. It's super low. So things aren't looking good. We got to be strategic about this. Let's hear John Kirby's response.
Not uncommon for presidents of Taiwan to transit the United States, as President Tsai did.
It wasn't the question.
It's also not uncommon for Taiwan officials, certainly at the president level, to meet with members of Congress, as President
Wasn't
Tsai
the question.
did. This is it's very typical. There's, again, no reason for any overreaction here.
So strategically dodging it, and, you know, kind of probably what we should do is dodging that type of question. Sometimes you have to do them, which says a lot for me, because you know I hate when people dodge questions. They don't answer them. You know, that definitely strikes a chord with me. But with tensions rising like the Chinese are doing, surrounding Taiwan at the present moment in time, doing a lot of military operations in the area, even surrounding Taiwan with their military operations, I think it's a good call here for John Kirby, especially when we're supposed to have our diplomats and members of our cabinet meeting with the Chinese to kind of lower the pressure, lower the heat a little bit on what is happening. So good on John Kirby for the way that he answered that, even though I'm not a big fan of them dodging questions. We'll have to be in agreement here that, hey, it was a good call. You know, should he talk to them maybe behind closed doors? I would say probably, and I think that we are in communication with Taiwan. But moving into the next bit of the White House press conference here, you got a reporter basically calling out the elephant in the room of, where's Joe Biden at? Why is Joe Biden not standing on that podium or doing a formal press conference with the White House press corps, the White House correspondents here, ones with unvetted questions? I think we all know the answer, but let's hear the answer from the mouthpiece of the leader of the free world, Karine Jean-Pierre.
The question has to do with the lack of a press conference during the president's upcoming trip and the lack of press conference that we see in general from this White House. I represent a news organization that owns 113 television stations, and a question that I'm often asked, and I don't know the answer to, so I'll ask you that question. Is the administration trying to protect the president from our questions? Please, answer that question.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So why the lack of any interaction in a formal setting to have a press conference?
I mean, the president takes shouted questions. I understand, John. I understand. I understand. I've dealt with this question about 3 times already. I understand. It is the job of you all to ask this question to me. Totally get that, and that's not a problem at all. But certainly, the president many times has stood in front of all of you, has taken questions on his own, because he wanted to see what was all on your minds. He wanted to see what the questions you all were going to ask him, and he wanted to answer them directly. That has happened multiple times, many times during this administration, and that will certainly continue to be. When it comes to a formal press conference, I don't have anything to share with you at this time.
He's going to continue here, but if you notice her language here of, oh, I know I got to answer it. It's okay that you ask me this type of question. I hear you. I understand. Look, I actually do believe that Karine Jean-Pierre understands what is happening, and she knows this guy, meaning the president, is not cognitively there to take unvetted questions. And we've seen gag after gag after gag, or gaffe after gaffe from this guy, meaning the president, fumbling through his words, fighting with this teleprompter. I mean, literally on Easter, he was rambling and talking about losing eggs, even though the question was about him running for president in 2024. He can't do it. Everybody knows that. And what's amazing to me is you have no outlets out there, Fox and anybody else, pushing the idea of where is a cognitive test for this guy? Why is he not out there more? All outlets there in that room should be asking the same question. Where's Joe Biden at? Like a formal conference, unvetted questions for like 2 hours, and just see how many gaffes come out from this guy. We all know what's going on. She knows what's going on. The press knows what's going on. They're just trying to get her to at least admit the fact that our president isn't all there upstairs, and that's why everything's going to bleep, is because he's the one running the show, or at least that's what we're being sold on.
It's just one last thing,
Yeah, sure.
just to button it up. You recognize that as it relates to prior administrations, the president's predecessor, President
Watch the
Obama,
pushback here.
President George W. Bush. I've been here long enough to have covered President Bill Clinton. This is not the norm. The norm is we do get an opportunity to ask the questions to the president about domestic and foreign policy issues in a formal setting at some point. And you choose that point, but we haven't had that opportunity in quite some time.
So I'll say this. It is also unprecedented that a president takes as many shouted questions as this president has. And he has.
I know the last
Okay.
administration, and I'll tell you, almost every day on until
Okay,
the November.
well, we'll certainly get the data and share that with all of you. I hear, John, I hear your question. I heard Zeke's question. I hear you. I hear you on the press conference, on a formal press conference. We get this probably every couple of months when you guys ask us about a formal press conference. I don't have anything to share with all of you at this time, and I'll just leave it there. Okay, Jeremy.
It is actually one of the biggest cover-ups, I think, of modern history, and I really do mean that in terms of what they're allowing and disallowing the American public to see from this president. I mean, this is going back decades, folks. And the press are trying to find answers for us. They're trying, but you have this administration hiding Joe Biden left and right. Like I said, he sleeps in at least till 9. Lord only knows when he goes to bed. What is he actually doing for this country? Basically nothing other than denigrating it and destroying it from the inside out. Speaking of destroying things from the inside out, folks, heck, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America, written by yours truly, Brad Roberts, folks. You can get your copy on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and I was laughing the other day. I didn't even know this. We're in Walmart, so you can buy it from Walmart as well. Basically, any major outlet. We're trying to get in Target and other places, but heck, you're buying these up like hotcakes. Some of you are currently reading it now. We'd really love for you to head over to Amazon and leave a 5-star review for us. It does help us tremendously. We have people critiquing our book, or should I say, putting it in book clubs and giving recommendations on it. So support us by buying a paperback, ebook, or paper version. And going over to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, your help and support would be greatly appreciated, folks. I really do mean that. And thank you for everyone who has already bought in a book. I wish we could do signed copies. If you ever run into me in real life or we do a book signing, please show up and I will be happily to sign that, especially when I know a lot of your names in the live chat now. And I will continue to try my best to memorize everybody. But what's interesting here is, again, they're going to sit there and hide the Biden administration from all of us and not take unvetted questions. And it's the biggest cover up, I think, in American history here, or at least one of the many, I should say, of cognitively not allowing that test to be released, meaning taking a cognitive test of this guy and having it released out to everybody. It was a big thing for Trump, right? And I use this example all the time, but literally when Trump was taking a drink, he was like, his hand was slightly shaking. And that could be from like low blood sugar or whatever it may be. Maybe he was tired or something at the time. But literally the press, in conjunction with the Democrat Party and the progressive left, were pushing the idea that he is unfit to hold office because his hand was shaking slightly when he was taking a drink of water. And they wanted to implement the 25th Amendment. But when we see Joe Biden hit a golf ball backwards, fall up a flight of stairs multiple times in the same staircase, and then separate occasions of him falling up a flight of stairs again, furthermore, fighting with his teleprompter, losing his train of thought, not answering questions coherently, falling asleep during interviews, like mid-sentence falling asleep, not like Ronald Reagan falling asleep where it's just a boring-ass interview or press conference, but just falling asleep mid-sentence on the guy. I mean, there is gaffe after gaffe after gaffe, again, gag after gag after gag of us just having endless videotape of this guy falling apart in real time, and they're not disclosing any of it. Nobody wants to have that conversation about him not fit to run office. They're all excited that he's going to run in 2024. Why are we even having that conversation? Have you seen just the collapse of this guy cognitively from when he was vice president to today, let alone from him on the campaign trail today? I mean, we were all talking on the campaign trail of him being shot up with some drugs. I mean, there were stories coming out where literally whistleblowers were saying that they saw Joe Biden's wife, giving him pills before certain press conferences or before the campaign or before speeches. I mean, it's alleged, but that's what was the rumor. So Lord only knows how bad things have gotten now. I've heard that there's actually tracks on his arm. Again, this is all alleged. This is a rumor. I've heard that there's people with photographs of tracks all up and down his arm because he's being shot up with something. This is crazy. But again, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to cover it. I wish that everybody would band together in that room and actually go full force on this because, again, there's a cover-up happening in real time. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.